The inspiration for this video actually came about while I was filming another video, and that video was all about the restocking trend, the restocking corner of the internet, where you restock your pantry, restock your fridge, restock your guest bathroom with aesthetic, clear, acrylic plastic containers. It's a tongue twister, and believe me, right now I cannot do tongue twisters. Just before I sat down to film, I was eating lunch and I bit my tongue, and it was the worst instance of biting one's tongue ever. I heard a literal crunch. There was tears, there was blood. I silently and not so silently cursed myself, because whenever you bite your tongue, you always feel like an idiot. So that's why I'm talking with a slight lisp. Once you've bitten your tongue, you are in imminent danger of biting your tongue again. So the next few hours is crucial to me not biting my tongue again. So the whole restocking corner of the internet is a very peculiar one to me, because this particular trend basically invites you to places of the home that you wouldn't ordinarily see if it were not for social media. Like pre-social media, if you were throwing a dinner party or something, I don't really have much experience throwing a dinner party, but the last thing I would do is open up my pantry just to show people how I organize or do not organize it, like boast about how well organized it is and how colorful and like all the innovative, oh God, I can't speak. There's certain words I can't say with the tip of my tongue being out of commission. You would never open up your pantry to your guests and try to impress them with the innovative ways you organize or maybe don't organize your pantry. You would never just open up your junk. You would just never open up your junk drawer or your fridge. But because of social media, because social media invites a show and tell atmosphere, we could see inside people's pantries and we could see inside people's fridges and we could see in their junk drawers, in their guest bathroom or wherever they want to show you, inside their underwear drawer too. And it just led me down a rabbit hole of thinking how much our society is now shaped by social media, how much within the last 15 years or so our behaviors have changed because of social media, and how we've spawned new behaviors because of social media. So this is what we're going to talk about today: how social media has shaped our behaviors as both consumers and creators, how social media has shaped the landscape of tourism, of how we dress, of how we eat, how we behave in public. We're going to have a cozy language chat. We're going to speak a little slower because I'm injured. And then we're going to judge a few people under the guise of people watching. But ultimately, what we are judging here is we're judging ourselves. My name is Teresa, and this is... Give me a moment. Let me think of what this is. Has social media made us all a little weird? Has social media turned us all into freaks? Perhaps freak is a little mean of a word. Sometimes I could be really mean. I tend to use words like a scalpel, it's just very sharp. So I need to learn to use lesser words. So let's just say it's like, you guys are acting really weird. Sometimes I look at what people do for views. I'm secretly thinking to myself, they're acting freaky. 2 years ago, it's a piece of history now, there was that NyQuil chicken, like cooking perfectly good chicken breasts in NyQuil. Like why would you do that? Do you watch people eat it? That's weird. Some people are acting pretty freaky. Some people, I'm not saying everybody, a lot of the times, like 90% of the times, somebody's just talking in their car, talking about their day, or most people are pretty normal-ish on social media. Like I can't say that I'm that normal. I mean, like I'm talking to myself in my bedroom. I'm talking into a rose. Recently, I saw somebody like deep fry a burrito in their car. It's a little freaky. People who cook food out of their toilets. People are acting really weird. I'm trying to think back to how my behavior has changed on account of social media since I signed up for Instagram about 10 years ago. Like right now, I'm basically talking to myself and speaking into a rose. And that usually isn't normal behavior, because what is normal is that I would still talk to myself when I'm alone, not in public. That's a whole other ball game right there. As a rom-com writer, sometimes I would talk to myself. I would, like in front of a mirror, act out some of the scenes I'm writing, and hopefully nobody will catch me. Once my husband did catch me, and it was really awkward. He's like, "Are you talking to yourself?" I'm acting out a scene from my book. I guess talking to myself is normal behavior. Ever since I signed up for an Instagram account, I began photographing my food. I wouldn't say that's very unusual because when I was using this digital camera prior to getting an iPhone, I would still use this to take photos of my food. I have a strange way of remembering things. I sometimes would look at a meal I had, and even if this meal was 10 years ago, I'll remember where it was, how it tasted. I have a strange association with food and memory. So I feel like my behavior has not been altered too much, except that with Instagram, I've added a filter on it where I would take more photos than necessary, not just for my memories, but for show and tell to my friends. But in that smallest sense, my behavior has been altered. And then later on, I would venture to restaurants that I would not normally go to. I would try out Instagrammable foods. In that sense, in the sector of food, social media has definitely altered our behavior in how food is made and how restaurants now have to create more Instagram-worthy food. Cotton candy wrapped pickle, hot Cheeto encrusted everything, pumpkin spice latte in the fall, milkshakes with a literal piece of cake or cookie on top of the milkshake. That kind of food would never exist were it not for social media, were it not for Instagram, were it not for the need to stand out and be Instagram worthy. Several years ago, I'm thinking around 2018, I feel like that was the height of mukbangs, the mukbang content. I'm sorry about my vernacular, but I've always called it mukbang. I've called it mukbang for many years.
Mukbang.
The pronunciation says it's a mukbang. I think I've just always pronounced everything wrong. I feel like it just sounds better as a mukbang than a mukbang. For a long time, I've called anime. I've always called anime, but it's anime. Somebody corrected me in real life, and she's like, it's not anime, it's anime. I thought she was just being snobby, but it was actually anime. In any event, mukbang, which is an eating broadcast. You broadcast yourself eating online, whether through live stream or filmed for ASMR purposes. I find that the foundation of it is positive. In Asian cultures, food is a central part of our social fabric. That is why if you see a lot of Asian cinema or if you watch any Studio Ghibli movie, there's always food incorporated in it. There's always people having food around a table, communal food sharing. With modern society nowadays, a global loneliness epidemic. Sometimes you can't catch a meal with a friend or family. Sometimes you have to eat alone. And what better way to feel like you're eating with somebody than watching your favorite influencer eat? What better way to combat your loneliness than to eat with somebody online? It's like you're having a meal with somebody virtually, and that person is your parasocial relationship with your favorite influencer or streamer. I don't really see that there's anything wrong with that. But what I have seen is the slow evolution of a mukbang. I really want to just call it mukbang. I'm just going to call it mukbang. We'll just blame it on my tongue injury. A mukbang. What was once conceived of just having a meal with somebody has, over the years, because of views, because of the algorithm, any social media algorithm promoting something that is more excessive, has evolved into this eating competition. No, not just an eating competition, a gluttony competition. And then suddenly, around, I would say 2018, people are just eating things that normally wouldn't even be eaten. There's the ASMR eating portion of it where you have mouth noises, food and mouth noises. People are eating sea grapes. People are eating honeycomb, big chunks of honeycomb, the aloe vera leaf. Like, why would you eat that? That's gross. The excessive vats of cheese. I have to admit, I like watching people dip things in cheese. You have like a giant lobster leg or crab leg. They are hot Cheeto encrusted lobster legs, and you're dipping them in cheese. I didn't even know lobster and cheese went together, but there you go. I kind of like watching people dip things in excessive amounts of cheese. I don't even know where you get a bowl this big and how you come upon all this cheese. Did you buy like a big Tillamook brick of cheese and melt it? I like watching people eat an excessive amount of noodles. I myself can't bring myself to do it because I like to stay in shape. I value my arteries, but if somebody else is going to do it, I'm going to watch it. Once in a blue moon, I would watch one of those mukbang compilations. That sounds interesting. But then another part of me is like, that's freaky. There was this clip of this girl eating 50 50 eggs, 50 fried eggs, or 100 fried eggs. You know in that movie Cool Hand Luke, where Paul Newman's like, I can eat 50 eggs. Well, this girl's got him beat. She's eating 50 fried eggs. Toward the end, she looked like she was really hating her life. There's people who have this giant hunk of Spam, you know, not slices of Spam, the whole thing. And not just a whole can of like fried Spam, 3 cans of fried Spam. And they would take the Spam and just dip it in cheese and then eat the whole thing. And I'm like, oh my God, the sodium, guys, the sodium. But yet I can't look away. And it always seems like they're in some kind of competition. They're trying to eat all these items within a time limit or something. Maybe it's a challenge. In the same vein that you would go to the Nathan's hot dog competition and see who's going to eat all these hot dogs. So I feel like watching it, I am the problem. It's kind of like a sadistic spectator sport, and yet we do it. We're reading in Stephen King's On Writing, the basis of horror writing, the basis of horror fiction is that deep down, people cannot resist slowing down during a car accident to see the carnage. Or even when there's a flat tire or a simple fender bender, the traffic slows down. Even though there's no reason for it to slow down, the wreckage has been cleared from the road, but everybody just has to slow a little just to watch. And I feel like it's the same for these gluttonous mukbangs. I feel like in that respect, social media has kind of made us into the viewers of the Hunger Games. As the viewer, as a spectator, we are no different than the unnamed, unseen viewers, spectators of like gladiator competitions at the Colosseum in Rome, watching a bunch of gladiators duke it out. The reason why the Hunger Games exists, why there's tribunes from every district, I believe there was 12 districts, duke it out in an arena, very heavy nod to the Roman gladiators. There's a viewership for it. So we want people to entertain us, and we want to see spectacle, and we want to see maybe some bodily harm. So are the creators the sick ones, or are we, the viewers, the sick ones? You know, just put that in your mouth and chew it. The creator is acting freaky, but at the same time, since there's an audience for it, the audience is equally freaky. It's like it feeds itself. It's like the snake eating its own tail or something. A closed loop system of freakdom. Let's move on to the topic of travel and how social media has essentially shaped travel. We are all more adventurous because of geotags and everything. We are visiting places that we would not normally visit, places off the beaten track, also just very heavily tourist places as well. The con is that we descend into over-tourism. So within the past year, we've seen a lot of reports about over-tourism, about how Venice is so over-tourist, so past its capacity to accept any more tourists that they're charging entry into the city, forbidding cruise ships to dock at their main port or something. Cruise ships have to dock farther away, and then little ships come in. I don't know my ship vernacular to do like a time delay of the amount of people swarming into the city, which is making life very difficult, if not impossible to live for the locals. On the other hand, it is bringing a lot of money, a lot of tourist bucks to bolster the economy of a tourist city. But at the same time, it's very difficult for the locals to just get on with their daily life. Every day is like a circus. Here's a circus again. Every day is like a circus. They're jostling with tourists everywhere. And it's the same in Santorini, Greece. It's the same with Japan. I believe in Barcelona, tourists were being sprayed with water as they're dining in those outdoor cafes, kind of just told to leave, being treated very uncordially by the locals. And I believe that all this problem with over-tourism is part and partial shaped by social media. Forever and always taking your photo in front of natural wonders of the world, in front of beautiful vistas while you're on vacation to show that you're there. It's ingrained within human nature. Like, you're not going to get rid of that. See somebody from the Victorian age doing their grand tour around Europe or going to Egypt or something, taking their photos in front of the pyramid. It has been done for centuries. The difference is, I believe that in the past, pre-social media, pre-modern technology with cameras and everything, you take maybe like 5 photos, 10 at the most, you're done. You move on, you get out of that spot. Nowadays, you're not satisfied with 5 photos. Some people take like 50 photos. 50 photos to get one perfect photo to post on Instagram. Then there's like the people, the influencers that come out with their outfit changes, hugging that one spot for an eternity. Obviously, other people wants to take their photo at that spot, so you're just kind of jostling for space. And there's the people that would not necessarily even know that this place existed were it not for social media. So they're there because they've been informed. There's the lingering at the photo spot for the perfect photo. There's taking multiple photos. There's waiting around during like sunset, sunrise for that golden hour shot. Because of social media, people are better photographers now. So before, instead of your awkward vacation photos taken by your mother or something, everybody's got like a professional camera in their pocket. So all these factors contribute to just having a lot of people around. I just recently went to Japan, and let me tell you, there's a lot of tourists. We were in, pardon the pun, the great wave of tourists. I feel that Tokyo is set up for tourists to come. It was prepared for tourism, has always been prepared for tourism. Not necessarily the case with Kyoto. In the ancient streets of Kyoto, oh my God, there was a lot of people. There was this shrine that overlooked like a mountain. There's this one tourist, and he was wearing this giant backpack. And I had to be really nimble. I was just dodging his backpack. I felt like he was just going to knock me over the railing if I was not careful. And at some point, I had to be like a little bit more forceful. So I basically had to kind of elbow my way out of this corner. It got me trapped in the corner with his backpack. Like, I could see why the locals are annoyed, because some tourists are not very demure and not very mindful, hogging up the photo spots for so long. When you think about it, everybody has the same photo. Everybody has the same poses of the same locations. Everybody has taken their photo here, maybe even with the same outfits. So what new ground are we breaking here? While we're at it, this is a little bit of a PSA to tourists who just stop in the middle of the road. When one is driving on a road or on the freeway, you ever notice that some people just brake really hard for no reason in front of you? You're going along and then somebody just brakes really hard. It makes you brake so you don't rear end them. That's how it is when some tourists just stop in the middle of the road. You never think that somebody's just going to stop. And what are they doing? They're not doing anything important. They're not lost. They just decided to stop to answer a text or something, having a conversation with their group. I'm glad you guys are bonding. Just move to the side. Move to the side of the road. Be mindful of people behind you, because it's very crowded here and everybody's just moving along. We're all walking around, waddling around like ducks because there's no room to move. There's one way forward, and then somebody just puts on the brakes and stops, and it's like you run into their back and they look at you like you're the cause of the problem. When you are driving and you have an unexpected flat tire, what do? Just stop in the middle of the road and cause a traffic jam? No, if you are able, move to the side. If you're in an accident, move to the side of the road. Let me calm down a little. And I feel like as the years go on, every time I try to do some kind of autumn activity, like go to the pumpkin patch, there's just this line snaking around the block, around the parking lot, like hundreds of people trying to go to the pumpkin patch. I have to do a cost-benefit analysis. Is it even worth 2 hours to go to this pumpkin patch anymore? So social media, I believe, has definitely contributed to just events and activities being way more crowded than they used to be. However, it's a chicken and the egg problem, because without social media, will we still even have these events? Without social media, will pumpkin patches be as extravagant or as aesthetic as they are now? Without social media, some events may not have even existed. We would not even have these events in the first place. So you just kind of have to wait in line for a long time. So what's my conclusion here? I do blame it for having to wait in line for a long, long time. But would I even be in line if it were not for social media? In conclusion, when I go out into the real world, and I do go out in the real world a lot more than I'm chronically online, I find that the real world is actually very normal. And I rarely see anybody do anything stupid in front of their phone. And I rarely see anybody doing anything super stupid. So I feel like the freaky behavior is only 2% of the population, maybe even 1% of the population, who are mostly normal. Just as I said before, you can't really judge human beings by their worst specimen. We're ending on an uplifting note. Most people are pretty normal, pretty boring, which is a good thing. You're living your normal life. Maybe people are doing freaky things in the privacy of their home, and that's probably where they should keep it. If you personally have witnessed any freaky behavior of people doing stuff for TikTok, for Instagram, for YouTube, for views, I want to hear it down below. If you have personally done some freaky things, don't be shy. Obviously, you're not shy. Tell us your story. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you've enjoyed me, then consider subscribing to my channel. And I'll see you next time.